Gerry, how changed the way to work with the new car in Formula E?
Yeah, it's a question that lots of people seem to be asking. In essence, going from 2 cars for each driver to 1 doesn't necessarily change what we're trying to achieve during either a test event such as the one in Valencia this week or at a race event. In essence, free practice 1 will still be a time where the driver is refamiliarising himself with the circuit and whether there have been any changes from the previous time that we've raced there. And then running through his race preparation program, getting an understanding of energy management strategies that he will deploy later on in that day. Free practice 2, in essence, will be the time that he can run through, or he or she can run through their qualifying simulation before going into qualifying and then hopefully superpole. So it's similar but different. Of course, for me, it's going back to a traditional way of motor racing and having 1 car per driver, although I sort of, coming out of the era with 2 cars for each driver, sort of reminds me a little bit of the days when we had T cars in Formula 1. So I welcome the change. I think what is important is that clearly that the improvements in terms of battery technology have allowed us to go down this route in a very short period of time. So whilst you may see this as a sporting change, it's actually a technological change that's allowed us to do this. But no, I welcome the change going to Season 5.
Some drivers said that it's more headache for the engineers to put on track these cars. It's true?
Well, the cars are more complex. I think the car is easier to work on in many respects, and of course every year that we design our own powertrain, I think we're making improvements in terms of serviceability for the guys to be able to work on these cars, and that's very important because we have a very, very tightly packed day and we've got very limited time in between sessions. So having a car that's easy to work on certainly helps the guys either make setup changes or if they need to repair a car. The engineering behind the vehicle is more complex. We've got additional systems such as brake-by-wire or BBWs you've heard people referring to, and that does add to the level of complexity from a control systems perspective. So engineering-wise, it's nice to play with something which is more complex. I think all of the engineers behind me would say that. Sometimes it's maybe easier to get lost with this car than previously, but yeah, as an engineer you'll always relish the challenge to learn more, but for the mechanics it's easier car to work on, but it's a big car.
All this Formula E project of NIO Formula E team is also focuses to the electric car for streets. You are following also this part of the company.
Yeah, well, my role in the company is a dual role because I'm, as head of the performance program, I look after not just the Formula E team but also the EP9 supercar that no doubt you've seen. So my role is sort of bridge between those two, and certainly I'm perfectly placed to reinforce the fact that what we're doing here on the racetrack and what we're learning and the technologies we're employing are certainly very relevant in terms of what we're doing with our mass-produced road vehicles. That lovely saying of road relevancy, it's no truer than in Formula E than anywhere else. It certainly is what we're doing and what we're learning here we're putting into practice in our mass-produced road cars. So, you know, for me it's great to be in this position with NIO as a manufacturer but also as a team in Formula E.
And in terms of time, how many times do you need to put the technology that you use in Formula E in the street car?
How many times?
Yeah.
Well,
is it possible to say some months, years? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's a sort of a very open-ended question, if I've understood the question correctly. But I think there are certain areas by regulation in Formula E where we're learning in an accelerated form. Perhaps on the sort of road car side of things, you know, they're taking longer to come to be in the road cars and to practice. So different timescales, clearly different periods of time to either generate the technology or to develop the technology. We have a new car every single year in Formula E. We have a new powertrain system every year. I suppose it really ties in with you know, the strategy with respect to road cars and what we're doing as a manufacturer.
Thank you very much, and see you in Saudi Arabia.
Right, thank you.